I thought they would win. I thought they would cover. I did not think Ashton Jeanty would go for 209 yards in this game against UNLV. 21-7 the final. The Broncos defense stiffens. Remember what I talked about on Friday? On Friday, Thursday, they all blend together at this point. When I looked at this matchup coming into the week, my number one pivot point was which quarterback is going to be more efficient in the game. Whoever is going to win the football game. Maddox Madsen, 18 of 27 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Hajj Malik Williams, 13 of 28 passing, 110 yards and an interception. So that's the first thing that made me realize, yeah, Maddox Madsen is looking a little bit better, and the Boise State defense is kind of nasty. This was a football game that was a tale of two halves. Boise State dominated in the first. UNLV won the second, got down inside the goal line, could not come away with points in a key situation. But that's what I like about Boise State and why I like them in this game. They are a more complete football team than you give them credit for. You think about Ashton Jeanty and the fact that he's going to be a Heisman finalist, which he will be and should be. And I'll talk about whether he should be a winner in just a moment. But Maddox Madsen is a highly effective and efficient. He's not explosive. He's not overly dynamic, but he can run a little bit. He can throw a little bit, and that's all they need. And the defense gets after you. So this Boise State team, they're gonna get a bye. Will Ashton Jeanty end up getting the Heisman Trophy? Likely not. Likely not. The odds, according to our friends at FanDuel, have got Travis Hunter at minus 2,500, not minus 250, minus 2,500 to win the Heisman Trophy, even after Jeanty's big day on a big stage. And Jason Benetti and Brock Heward, the announcers, were lining it up before the game, and they were correct in saying that was the biggest game in the history of Boise State football. You now have a legitimate chance for the first time to play for a national championship. You're going to be in the playoffs. You're going to get the bye. I mean, should Arizona State jump them after this performance? I'd argue yes, and based on the entire season. But I don't think that's likely to happen. UNLV, top 25 team, deservedly so. You're not going to get punished for a 14-point win, even though it's on your home field. And Arizona State comes into this game ranked at 15. I don't think they get jumped. I really don't. The question is whether Ashton Jeanty makes that jump to the Heisman Trophy. He probably doesn't. I've said before, he'd have my vote. I do not begrudge those who vote for Travis Hunter in Colorado. This can be a very spirited debate, depending on who you ask. Well, Travis Hunter's doing that. Well, Travis Hunter, it's just snap. It's not just snap count, guys. It's about far more than just that. He's the most dynamic and consistently productive two-way player that we've probably ever seen in college football. He's not the only two-way player we've ever seen, but he's definitely the best and most impactful one. Where my vote would come down to if I had one for the Heisman Trophy is which team needs that guy more? And when I watch these two teams play, Shedeur Sanders is the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, not Travis Hunter. So would they still be able to score points? Yes. Would they be as good? Of course not. If you take either of these guys off their teams, neither one's in the position they're currently in. Boise State's not winning the Mountain West. And Colorado has not just had a 9-3 season. Neither one of those things happened. Colorado's probably close to a set. They lose the Baylor game, at the very least, it would seem. He made the play to win that game, and who knows what else. Maybe they don't pull it out against North Dakota State. I think they're probably 7-5, maybe 6-6. But Boise State has relied on Ashton Jeanty more than Colorado has relied on Travis Hunter. Remember, that Buffs defense is improved. It's been more about the defensive line. Travis Hunter is great. He's great on the defensive side of the ball, but are Colorado's defensive numbers blowing anybody away? No, they are not. And in one of the biggest games of the year where you look back and go, oh, wait, that's why Colorado didn't get into the Big 12 championship game, it was the Buffs defense, not necessarily Travis Hunter specifically, that came up short against Kansas State. Could not get a stop against a team that can't throw the football. So if you took Travis Hunter off of Colorado, that team that is left beats Boise State that doesn't have Ashton Jeanty. That's where my vote would come down to. Which guy is more important for that particular team? Because the level of greatness and what the Heisman Trophy actually, I don't want to hear direct definitions about the Heisman Trophy is this. That is not how the Heisman Trophy has been given out for a very long time. So please, spare me the dictionary definition of what the Heisman Trophy is supposed to be, or who the Heisman is supposed to be awarded to. So Jeanty's not going to win it. He should be a finalist. Cameron Scadaboo at Arizona State, he should be a finalist. Those should be the three. It should be Travis Hunter. He'll win. Jeanty should finish second. And Cameron Scadaboo, the guy at the center of one of the best stories in all of college football, should finish third. So Boise State wins the Mountain West for a second straight year. They're going to get a first-round bye. And yes, I think it's ridiculous. I think it is ridiculous to say that Boise State at 12-1 deserves a first-round bye instead of a road playoff game when Arizona State is 11-2 going through the Big 12. And you can say this, that, and the other thing about the schedules, and well, Boise only lost to Oregon by 3. So if we're going to start adding context to games, can we talk about how Sam Leavitt was not playing in their game against Cincinnati, one of their 2 losses on the year? Are we going to talk about that? Because if we're going to get detailed, that's fine. We can add context to it, but let's add the full context. I just watched Sam Leavitt without his best wide receiver go out and throttle Iowa State. Yeah, Scadaboo had a big game. I noticed Sam Leavitt was making a lot of big-time throws. I noticed Sam Leavitt was making timely plays with his legs. How important is that to an offense? I think fairly important. So when I look at where Boise State's going to fall, the question becomes whether they get the bye, which they probably will, whether they have a bye or not, how far can they advance? I think it depends on the matchup. I think it absolutely depends on the matchup. But most people, I think, are going to look at Boise State and say, oh, they can't do this, they can't do that because they play in the Mountain West. I'm arguing that's why their resume shouldn't allow for them to have a bye. I did watch them go toe-to-toe with the only team that, as I'm recording the show, hasn't lost in college football, or at least the only team that didn't lose throughout the course of the regular season, and they played them as close as anybody. Now, another team that played them close isn't even going to a bowl game in Wisconsin, but that was in Madison late in the year. Oregon was playing 8 straight games. That was their 8th, and Boise State got them in week 2 while Dylan Gabriel was not quite settled into the offense, and it was at Autzen Stadium. You make of those matchups whatever you like. But to look at Boise State and say that they are just Ashton Jeanty is to oversimplify what they have been this year. Do I believe they should have a first-round bye? No. I think we should reseed after the first round, and I don't believe anybody should get an automatic bye. Do not believe in that whatsoever, but that's where we're at. I think because of that reality, though, you will get people who will disrespect Boise State and say they can't do X, Y, and Z. Well, Ashton Jeanty's a focal point. He's not the only point. Maddox Madsen is not going to blow you away, but you'll look up and he'll make some timely plays or timely throws. Or he'll hit Cramper. Forgive me, Broncos fans. He'll hit Chris Camper when he needs to. He didn't get a ton of receiving help in that game either. There was a big drop by Stratton early in the game that would have moved the sticks for Boise on a third down situation. And the chemistry between Maddox Madsen, Ashton Jeanty, and offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter is really, really good. So that's the first thing about the offense. And defensively, schematically, they're as good as anybody in college football. They know when to dial up this pressure and that pressure. They'll get after teams. Spencer, they're playing in the Mountain West. I know. I've discussed what that should mean. It should mean they don't get to be a team that has a first-round bye. It does not mean they aren't still incredibly capable, because they are. And if you had a team with a superior defensive line to what you'd consider Mountain West competition, it would look very much like Boise State's defensive line and secondary when they're blitzing after quarterbacks. They're relentless with that pressure. So someone's going to have to figure out a way to stop it. If they wind up facing off with Arizona State, could be a fun game, but we'll just have to see how the playoff shakes out. That selection show comes on Sunday.